He just expressed to you what I talk about every week is the ability to let go and release all judgment of yourself and allow the great Spirit of God to speak through you. That's what he just did. That's what he just did. So the phone rings, and the voice on the other end says, hello. And the voice on the other end says, could I speak to the woman in the house, please? She's busy. Well, could I speak to the man of the house? He's busy too. Well, I can hear talking. They're talking to the policeman. Well, what about the policeman? Can I speak to him, please? He's talking to the fireman. Oh, my word. What in the world is going on there? What is going on? They're looking for me. Oh, me. They're looking for me. Wherever you are in your life, whatever challenge you have perceived as such, whatever heartbreak, whatever opportunity, whatever moment that you have, that you're holding right now, it is to help you find that deeper part within you. That is why it is your friend. That is why it is your sacred friend. Is so that you can celebrate it in a way on the other side of it and know that it is to help draw out of you what up till now you've been holding on to. There's a big difference you see in life between fitting in and belonging. Most people adjust their entire life in front of audiences, in moments, with family, with friends, with couples, those kind of things. They attempt to fit in. You know, what is that? Have you ever had a girlfriend or boyfriend of yours and they meet somebody and they're all in love? They don't even act like the same person. They're like, good. Yeah. You're like, where did my empowered, dynamic, energetic friend go? Good. You know, it's like, it's that adjustment to fit in. People can walk into a room that's quiet, they become quiet. They walk into an experience of something and they become that. We are programmed early on in our life that it is necessary to fit in. So what I'm saying and what I'm talking about today, still coming off some of our Easter agreements that we made to break habits, to let go of things, to let things die that deserve to be so, those kind of things. I'm talking about the power of belonging. Because the power of belonging is coming from an entirely different consciousness. It's the ability to know, first and foremost, as Virginia Satir would say, you have the right to be here. You have the right to your own feelings. You have the right to your own dreams. You have the right to be what you are destined to be. That is your divine birthright. And that is a sense that you start every day. I belong. I am somebody. And therefore, I belong to greatness. Say that with me. I am somebody, and therefore, I belong to greatness. And when we become small, and when we settle, is when we start going back to the old pattern of, I need to fit in. But when we stand in a place anchored in truth, anchored in what we know, anchored in prayer, then we start living in the place of belonging, which means that we wake up one day and our tribe, our people, our friends, our connections are all there with us. And because of the law of attraction, guess what? They're more like us. We have passed 101 elementary life moving forward. Are you with me? Does this work for you today? Because they said I still have a few more minutes. But when we talk about the belonging part, we talk about that energy, and we talk about living in the question. If you look at the word question, it's quest I own. When you look at the most successful people in the world, and I'm talking love, happiness, joy, energy, young, forever young until the day they leave their shoes and they die. I might leave these, I'm not sure, but anyway. In that space, when you're talking about that particular concept and that essence and that energy, I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to just keep going. Those types of people of success live by asking questions. Live by asking questions. I had an example of that just last week that we were watching the movie, our social activist film. It was about walking the Camino. And we had 40 maybe people here, and they were watching and hearing about how you have one backpack that gets lighter and lighter all the time, and you walk 500 and something miles, and you stop from place to place. And it sounds lovely and like a great invitation for some people, But I started asking myself, is this mine to do at this particular time in my life? And I had this huge epiphany, well, I've already kind of done the Camino Trail. I survived boot camp for the U.S. Army. I can still go. You'll lift, pick it up, you'll lift. You'll lift, pick it up. And I thought, I've done my own Camino Trail. I've done that already. That's what I could say about that for me. But more often than not, we just move forward and we're doing something and just doing it from the way of an old paradigm. More often than not, people long to be not just ordinary people. Do you agree with that? Yes. They long for more than just being ordinary. The deeper part of them wants to be found. I see it often when they come in and they start sitting in the very back, last row as far as that row will go, rubbing against the wall. And then week after week after week after week, something starts being found within them. And then they kept getting closer and closer and closer and closer. Because that's the part that's innate within all of us. We want to be found. We want that deeper part of us to be discovered so it may reveal itself. As Meister Eckhart would say, it's more than just addition. Spirituality is also subtraction of letting things go. And you show up long enough to whatever it is you're involved in your life, and that tipping point is going to take its effect. Yes? It's going to come into play. When we talk about the teachings of Jesus, when we talk about Buddha, when we talk about Gandhi, and a wide range of masters that teach us and move us, we look at the story of what we have all said about our DNA. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit today because it helps me understand it. There's two kind of choices that one can make about their DNA. One is just do and never asking. They do it because their parents did it. They do it because somebody told them to. They do it because that's what the teacher said. They do it because they want to be a good little girl and a good little boy, and that's okay. But when you're 60, that conversation gets old. I was a good little girl, okay. So it's doing and just in that part of doing, but never asking, is this for me? Is this what will give me a deeper sense of belonging? Is this what my soul wants to do? Not just my personality into busy making, do. Well, I have to watch the grandchildren so many hours a week. Who said? There's a lot of people in the world that need income and need, babysitting jobs. Who said? It's okay if you're following it because it's what is yours to do. But learn how to get further in the practice of not just doing, but asking questions. Does that resonate with you? Because the true DNA, and this is part of what I said about using the new law, the new way of being, letting go of that old nature so the new can be found, is the DNA is what? Let's read it. Demonstrate natural abundance because we are in alignment with ourselves. A tree is vibrant, dynamic, energetic. It sings, it makes noise because its destiny is to grow. Its destiny is to grow. You don't ever lean or hug a tree or join a group about hugging trees and have the tree tell you, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to grow. I don't want to do this. No. And there's nothing within anything innate or natural about anything on this planet that doesn't have within it the need to be found. I am desiring and longing to be expanded beyond what I know about myself. And in that space, then it requires us to ask questions that we've never asked and to explore ideas that we've never explored. Does that make sense? I went through a phase here about 2 years ago. It was a deep phase. It was not an easy phase, but I was thinking to myself, am I complete here? Do I still want to be here? Is this my ministry? Is this mine to do? And I went home and I told BB, I said, I'm feeling like I'm going to leave. And she said, what? What are you talking about, going to leave? And I said, I just need to be in the question. I need to be in the question. I need to make sure that I'm fulfilling my soul call. I need to be in that space. Just let me be in that space. Let me be heard. Let me be in that space. And you know what? The most beautiful thing was born. That me left. That me that used to do my work the way that I used to do it did leave. But the new me that wanted to do ministry the way I do now came forward. Are you with me? Are you with me? It's like this part of yourself that is wanting to be found, because it's so easy, before you know it, in an aquarium of people, that you're starting to just fit in. But you really know within every core of your being that you belong. It says it in Scripture, Matthew 13, 45, 46. Talks about the merchant. The merchant goes and he sees the great pearl. It's the most beautiful pearl. And he goes back and he sells all that he has because he wants to have it. It's the great pearl within all of us in our humanity, our spiritual awakening, and our spiritual awareness. We are longing for that part to integrate within our being. Do you connect with that?
Yes.
And so we learn to work with what needs to be released, what needs to be let go of. There's a story about a monk, and he was so excited about joining the monastery. And so he said, put me to work, I'll do anything, doesn't really matter. And the old monk says, he said, we need a bunch of copies made. We have a bunch of forms we're giving out to some new monks. And he said, why don't you go in the copy room and take care of that? Well, as he did, he started noticing that there are copies after copies after copies after copies, and he wasn't working from any originals at all, just one copy after another. And so he told the old monk that. He said, I'm concerned. He said, because if, all this time and all these years and all these centuries, if we just been copying after copy, he said, and we're not using an original, error can happen. No doubt about it. And so the old monk, he said, I'm taking what you're saying to heart. So he goes up into archives, and he's gone there hours and hours and hours. After a while, the young monks are starting to get kind of concerned about him. So they go and check on him. And he's up there, and he's just crying his eyes out. He says, what in the world? What is wrong? He says, it says to celebrate. Not celibate, celebrate. Often, always give people time to breathe in that. Often, we lose sight of originality. Often, when we're copying other things, other people, we lose that sight of what is true for our own belonging energy. It's letting go of the walls. It's letting go of all that. Any tattoo we've placed upon ourselves. And immersing ourselves into now. This is the greatest moment that we've ever lived. Now. This is where we can leave anything, at least in our minds, so that we could be born into how we're really going to show up. Yes? I'm reminded of our beloved President, Ronald Reagan. the courage that he had when he went to Berlin. It was there on his second trip in 1987, and he was talking about the power of freedom and peace and how much he honored their country. But then he went on to say, Mr. Gorbachev, it's time that we take down the wall. That we take down the wall. It is time that we take the wall down. And it was just that imprint, you see. It was that question. It was that declaration that in no time at all, what happened? The wall came tumbling down. Yes. And now all these years later, when tourists travel, they'll say, where's the wall? But it's the wall of illusion. It's not the wall of reality in East and Western Berlin. So what is it within you that tears down the wall? You might ask me that. Thank you. It's sacred love. Sacred love is what takes down the wall. We are sacred love.